Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Cynthia, and on this channel I talk about metaphysics, psychology, and everything in between. Do you find that you often don't intently focus on the one thing that has the potential to move you closer to your goals? If so, you probably fall into the echo chamber of the belief that everything matters equally. And trust me, you are not alone. Most of us spend a huge chunk of our time juggling different tasks, doing what is popularly known as multitasking, and believing that we are being productive. But these productivity myths have done nothing but mislead us and derail our progress. But in this book, The One Thing by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan did an incredible job of deconstructing those productivity myths, and it also talks about the surprisingly simple ways of attaining extraordinary results and success. So I'll be doing a book review of this amazing, eye-opening book in this video. If this is something that you're interested in, please stay tuned and let's delve right in. So I'll be reviewing this book in 3 parts. I will talk about the one thing and why it's imperative for you to pick one thing to focus on that has the potential to help you achieve your goals. I will then talk about the myths surrounding productivity and success, and I'll finally end with the simple truths about success and how to attain it. So, the one thing. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to get so much more done than others if we all have the same number of hours in a day? Well, the answer is that they go small. And just like this book states, that if you want the absolute best chance at achieving anything, your approach should always be to go small. Going small means that you are ignoring all the things that you could do and focusing on the things that you should do. It is recognizing that not all things matter equally, and therefore you choose those that matter, those that are going to move the needle, that are going to push you closer to achieving your goals, and then focusing on those things. You see, most people think the opposite. They believe that in order to be successful, you have to do more, you have to go out there and try everything. And it's a popular belief that most successful people do the most, they juggle different things. You should immediately drop that type of thinking, because the only thing it's going to do is to congest your to-do list and have your focus pulled in so many different ways. You'll end up feeling overwhelmed and you'll stop reaching for your goals because they'll start to seem unattainable and you'll settle for less. So as you think of your work, your health, your spirituality, your relationship, ask yourself the focusing question. The question that is going to point to exactly what you need to be focusing on. And that question is, what is the one thing I need to do such that by doing it, everything else will be made easier or unnecessary? Ross Garber said that there can only be one important thing. Many things may be important, but only one can be the most important. Here's why choosing to focus on one thing matters. Focusing on one thing is the storyline of most extraordinary success stories, and passion for something leads to disproportionate time practicing or working on that thing. And then the time spent eventually translates into skill, and when skill improves, results improve as well. Now that you know why choosing to focus on one thing matters, let's get into some of the myths that are told about success and productivity. Myth number 1, everything matters equally. It is no surprise that the modern day workplace is filled with to-do lists of every kind, listing and filled with everything that you need to do in a day, in a week, in a month, in a quarter, in a year. You get the drill. Because we were made to believe that everything matters equally, you're always in a rush to ensure that everything on your to-do list is done urgently. And you forget that some tasks don't necessarily bring you any closer to your goals. And also because we get a dopamine boost whenever we tick off any item on our to-do list, no matter how small or trivial, that in itself propels you to ensure that every single thing is done because you want that cheap dopamine boost, right? Have you heard of the 80-20 Pareto principle? This principle states that 20% of what you do brings about 80% of your results. That means that only a few tasks on your to-do list actually help bring you closer to your goals. So that means not everything matters equally. It is a myth. So here is what you need to do instead. After writing down your to-do list, get the tasks that will directly move you closer to your goals, transfer them to another list, and then organize them in terms of their priority. And then you would have created your success list. You need to be working from your success list, because that list, especially after you have organized those tasks in order of their priority, it will clarify the task that you need to be focusing on, the task that has the potential to move you closer to your goals. Myth number 2, willpower is always on will call. What that means is that whenever you need your willpower, it will always be available. But that's not the truth, right? It's a myth. And before reading this book, I didn't understand the importance of scheduling your day in terms of energy levels. I would eat my frogs, as Brian Tracy mentioned in his book, Eat That Frog, in the evenings. And because I'm a morning person, I do not have energy. My willpower is depleted by the time the evening time comes around. So I struggled to accomplish my big tasks, which made me feel that I was an unproductive person. How absurd is that? So while willpower is a vital resource, it's also a limited resource. You have to think about it like a phone battery. Every morning when you wake up, you have a full battery of willpower, and you have the energy and the strength to do any single task that you want to do, no matter how hard it is. But as the day goes on and you use up your willpower doing daunting tasks, it gets depleted. Carry out the hardest tasks when your willpower is at its strongest, and then the simpler ones when your willpower is at its lowest. And the good news is that even if willpower is a limited resource, it's also a renewable resource. So all you need is a good night's sleep and voila, full battery again the next morning. Myth number 3, live a disciplined life if you want success. Most of us believe that successful people are also very disciplined people, which enables them to achieve their goals despite any challenges, right? But that's not true. It is a myth. See, successful people are not superhuman, not at all. What they do is that they garner the discipline, selected discipline, to help them cultivate significant habits, which habits, once cultivated, make everything else easier or unnecessary. So what you need to do is you just need to garner the discipline to cultivate habits that work for you and not against you, and that help you achieve success. For example, working a full-time 9-to-5 job while working on my blog and YouTube channel was starting to become tasking for me. I would wake up at 7 a.m. to prepare for my 9-to-5, and after, I would immediately start working on content for my blog and my YouTube. And I realized that the days were just running away from me. I was completely out of control. I was slacking at my exercise routine. I didn't have the time to prepare a healthy meal, so you know what that meant, ordering in. I was literally a mess. However, after reading Robin Sharma's book, The 5 a.m. Club, which I'm going to put here. By the way, a little backstory. I'd heard about this book, right? But I didn't want to read this book because I was thinking, waking up at 5 a.m., maybe not for me. But when I realized that the days were running from me and I needed more hours in a day, I had nothing to do but read the book and see what the hype was about and what these benefits of waking up at 5 are. So I read his book, and after reading the book, it made a lot of sense, right? So I challenged myself to wake up at 5 every single day. It was hard at first. Oh my goodness. It was very, very hard. But soon the benefits became visible. I had more time to work on the task of my 9-to-5 and also work on content for my blog and my YouTube. And because I wake up at 5 a.m. every day, you may think I'm disciplined, right? But I'm not. What I did is I just garnered that discipline to help me cultivate that habit. And now my body just automatically wakes itself up at 5. You know, science has proven that it takes 66 days to create a habit. So if you have a habit in mind that you know will bring you closer to your goals, why not start now? There is a quote on habits that I like, and it states that people do not decide their futures. They decide their habits, and their habits decide their futures. That is something to think about. Myth number 4, big is bad. It can be quite scary to open up your mind and think of big goals for yourself. Trust me, I know. I intellectually understood that thinking big was an important foundation of success. But it was not until I read this book that I actually sat down and thought about big goals for my life. So I know that thinking big is a very scary thing to do, right? And I guess it's because when we think of big achievements, they seem insurmountable, overwhelming, and intimidating. For some reason, there is fear that big success brings about crushing pressure and stress, and you may be fearful of putting your stakes high because you are afraid of failure and embarrassment. Have you heard of megaphobia? This is the irrational fear of big. You see, when you think of big as bad, lowering your trajectory may feel safe and staying where you are may feel prudent. But the opposite is true. You see, when small thinking takes over the day, big thinking will never see the light of day. And here is something for you to think about. When you fear big, you subconsciously work against it, either by running towards lesser outcomes or running away from bigger ones. If you think that thinking big is a daunting task, trust me, you are not alone. But here is something that can provide solace for us. How many times have you set out to do something that seemed insurmountable, only to realize after doing it, it was not actually as scary as you thought it was at first, right? What seemed like a mountain to you is now a hill once you have reached it. You see, as you strive for big, you yourself, you become big. Your way of thinking, your skills, your relationships, your sense of what is possible and how to attain it, all become big. Here is a quote from this book that completely changed my outlook on the fear of thinking big. And it states, if courage isn't the absence of fear, but moving past it, then thinking big isn't the absence of doubts, but moving past them. Isn't that beautiful? Myth number 5, the last myth, a balanced life. This is a grand idea that isn't very practical. It is idealistic and not realistic. You might have believed that to be successful is to live a balanced life. But balance doesn't exist. It's a myth. I know it's a tough pill to swallow, but it is the truth. Purpose, meaning, and significance are what makes a successful life, and seeking them will most certainly throw you off balance. Here is what you need to understand. Extraordinary results require focused attention and time. And time on one thing means time away from another thing. Therefore, balance doesn't exist. When you're trying to attain balance, it will feel like you're chasing two rabbits. And trust me, that will mean that you're all over the place. If you've ever chased two rabbits, you know how literally impossible it is. You will be all over the place. What you need to do is discover the most important thing in each facet of your life and start focusing on that thing. You need to live a counterbalanced life. So in your professional life, in your personal life, find out that one thing that you need to be focusing on, such that by doing it, everything else will be made easier or unnecessary. So let the right things take precedence when they should, and then focus on the other things when you can. Here is something to ponder. Magic does not happen in the middle. It happens at the extremes. Now that we have deconstructed some of the myths about productivity and how to attain success, let's get into some of the truths on how to attain success. Truth number 1, live with purpose. I can't tell you how many times in the past I've rolled my eyes at this statement, live with purpose. I honestly believed that asking what is my purpose was a question only privileged people could ask. And not us who are working 9 to 5s, the ordinary us who are trying to make ends meet. I believe each one of us has a burning desire that eats at us every day, something that we are meant to do, something that we feel we're destined to do. You see, our past leaves trails of clues that help us discover what we are passionate about. For example, from a young age, I remember if I had learned something new, something that I felt had greatly impacted me, I wouldn't want to keep it to myself. I'd want to tell everyone that I know. So I would spend hours talking my mom's ear off about some phenomenon that I had learned about, and my friends wouldn't escape it too. And as I grew up, it became clear to me that learning and talking about what I had learned is something that came easy to me and I did with great passion. Talking about purpose can feel heavy and icky sometimes, but it doesn't have to. You see, the truth about how to discover your purpose is this. Think of it as simply the one thing that you want your life to be more about than any other. Living with your purpose is very important, and here's why. When you live with a definite purpose, clarity comes faster, which leads to more conviction in your direction, which ultimately leads you to make faster decisions. And like Napoleon Hill used to say, Those who reach decisions promptly and definitely know what they want, and they generally get it. You see, here's another quote from this book that I loved, and it states that we do not find ourselves, we create ourselves. So sometimes you may know your purpose, right? Other times you create it along the way. Just follow your bliss. What comes easy to you, what you do with passion, with love from your heart, just continue down that road, and then you will start carving out your purpose. Success truth number 2, live by priority. Now that you know what your purpose could be, the question that naturally springs to mind is, what do I do next? Well, you plan. Think of your someday goal and then draft out a plan that will help you achieve that goal. Plan out your 5-year plan, your yearly plan that will help you reach that 5-year goal, then a monthly plan that will help you stay on track to achieving your yearly goal, your weekly goal that will help you stay on track to achieving your monthly goal, and then your daily goal. You see, planning is important because it brings the future into the now, and it helps you to be appropriate in each moment. Because you know what it is that you're supposed to be doing, it becomes easy for you. You line up your dominoes. And if you're confused on what to do, just ask yourself the focusing question that we have already talked about. What is the one thing I need to do such that by doing it, everything else will be made easier or unnecessary? Once you ask yourself that question, it will become clear to you what is that one thing that you're supposed to be focused on. And once it is clear to you, work on it. After working on it, ask yourself, what is the one thing that I need to do such that by doing it, everything else will be made easier and unnecessary? It will become clear to you. Do it. You see, it's like the domino effect. You are lining up your dominoes. So here is your someday goal. Here is your 5-year goal. Here is your yearly goal, your monthly goal, your weekly goal. Every single time you do that one thing, you tip over one domino, which tips over the other domino, and then it becomes a whole thing until you reach your someday goal. Because the ability to achieve extraordinary results in the future lies in your ability to string powerful moments together, one after the other. So live with purpose and you'll know where you want to go. Live by priority and you'll know what to do in order to reach where you want to go. Finally, success truth number 3, live for productivity. Here is an eye-opening truth from this book. The most successful people are the most productive people. You see, successful people note the hours in the day when they are most productive, when their willpower is at its strongest, and then they time block those hours. But they do not only stop at time blocking those hours, they also fiercely protect them from any distractions. So why not do the same thing? If you discover that your willpower is strongest in the morning, wake up early and then concentrate on that one thing that you know will bring you closer to your goals. And then if you discover your willpower is strongest in the evening, if you're a night owl, focus on the one thing that will bring you closer to your goals. Then, you see, you're the only one who knows your purpose, your priorities, and why they matter. Other people don't. So there will always be distractions, people needing your attention, pulling your focus in different directions. People need this, need that, so many distractions. So you need to time block those hours when you are most productive and fiercely protect them against any distractions. Because at the end of the day, it is you and it's your goals. You're the only one who knows what your purpose is, the priorities, and why all those things matter to you. So take charge. If you set an appointment with yourself, keep it. Here's a thing that actually changed my way of thinking about the one thing and why it's important. Doing several other things might make you sleep better at night because, you have ticked off everything from your to-do list, but it may not get you the promotion that you're seeking, or those things will not bring you closer to your goals. That is something to digest. So of course, we know that sometimes life gets in the way and some urgent things may come up that require your urgent attention during that time when you're most productive, those hours that you blocked. If this scenario occurs, just follow the simple rule. If you erase, you replace. And immediately reschedule that productive time for another time later on in the day, or in the week, however you're scheduling your productive time. Be accountable enough to actually keep that appointment. Here is something that this book spelled out that I thought that was brilliant, very nice. And it states that every day great salesmen generate leads. Every day great programmers program. Every day great artists paint. So get your profession, your position, and fill in the blanks. So to conclude this video, you might have heard of the term hyperbolic discounting. This is when the farther away a reward is in the future, the smaller the immediate motivation to achieve it. So after you have discovered your purpose in life, right, and set your someday goal, it may seem insurmountable and you might lose the motivation to achieve it. But here is how to counteract that. Every single day, discover the one thing that you need to focus on that will lead you to attaining that future goal. That's the importance of planning. Once you have set out your someday goal, your 5-year goal, your yearly goal, your monthly goal, your weekly goal, your daily goal, and you have aligned those dominoes, just every day, just simply ask yourself, what is the one thing I need to focus on today, such that by doing it, everything else will be made easier or unnecessary. Then do that thing. Remember that success is sequential and non-simultaneous. So do not be afraid to go small and focus intently on that one thing that is going to move the needle and that is going to enable you to achieve your goal. Funny enough, this book brought out the significance of the oxymoron that less is more. And it is truly, truly a gem. You need to read this book. It talks about these myths about productivity and success and the truths and so many other things in a way that is very accessible. To me, I felt like this book is like a crash course on productivity, you know? And being someone who has an MBA and I studied about strategic management and the importance of thinking big in a business, this book, I feel, spelled out that for me in a more clear way than I'd ever learned in school. This book, I have never highlighted a self-help book as much as I highlighted this book. Literally from the first page to the end, it's all highlighted because every sentence, every word was ringing with truth. And if you want to understand how to attain success, how to improve your productivity, I recommend this book 100%. It's truly, truly a gem. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and let me know in the comment section what you thought about the review and if you'll be picking up a copy for yourself soon. I'll be very interested to know. Please remember to subscribe to my channel as that helps me out a lot. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.